We're back. You got to know that, right? Hey, my wife Kathy and I just got back a little bit ago from our latest cruise. We took it on the Celebrity Beyond, leaving out of Miami, Florida on March the 22nd and coming back on the 29th. Now, before we get started, I do have to tell you, Miami was the very first cruise port that we ever took a cruise on. That was way back in 1989, January of 1989, on Royal Caribbean's Sovereign of the Seas. At that time, it was the largest cruise ship in the world. Today, I don't think it would even make it as the smallest cruise ship. Well, it doesn't exist anymore. It's got scrapped years ago. But Celebrity Beyond, very nice ship. It is an Edge-class ship, as you're going to find out. And let's get started, shall we? First of all, the first thing you want to do is about 45 days before the cruise departs, you want to register for the cruise. You want to go in and check in. And this is what you get when you've filled out all of the paperwork and whatnot from Miami, Florida. And there you see Kathy's Express Pass that says, oh yeah, she's ready to board the ship, and there's mine. And it gives you the cabin number. It tells you where your muster station is and everything else. We were in Deck 6, 6194, which is kind of a small cabin, but we booked this very late, and the ship was totally sold out. So this was the only thing we could do. There were two small cabins available. This is the one we chose. Anyway. And this is the requisite picture that we always take in the airport of the two of us getting ready to cruise. You probably notice Rich doesn't have any glasses on. Had cataract surgery just before we left on this cruise, but I can see a whole lot better now. And yes, it always seems that when we're going on cruises and we're leaving from Florida, of course we fly from Arizona, we always seem to end up in Austin, Texas. And this is part of the Austin airport. Long airport, but nonetheless, one of the nicer airports in the state of Texas. Now, if you haven't noticed and followed along with a lot of the YouTube videos that are out there, one of the things that everybody tells you should do, and you should do it, go in to wherever you're leaving from the night before. The last thing you want to do is have a delay on your flight or traffic jam or wherever, however you get to your cruise port, and find out that you've missed your cruise. Go in the night before. That way, if there is a delay, you've still got time to get there, all right? This is Kathy eating a Cubano sandwich. We stayed in Miami Springs, Florida the night before. I would not recommend staying in Miami Springs, Florida, but nonetheless, we ate at a Honduran restaurant that night. The food was fairly good, but we had a Cubano sandwich, and this is Kathy eating hers. You want to move a little farther, that's what the Cubano sandwich looks like, and half of mine is already gone. We took the other half back, and I had it later on that night. And here's Kathy finishing up hers. She had half of a half, or about a quarter of her sandwich. I think she ended up leaving about half of it in the refrigerator in the hotel room. By the way, the hotel room, not that good. This was taken from the Ocean View Cafe, high atop the Celebrity Beyond, once we finally got on the ship. This is the Port of Miami. I will tell you right now, the Port of Miami used to be a favorite of everybody's when they are cruising. Not so much anymore. This was on a Sunday, and there were, I think, 8 ships that had come in that day. And so they were disgorging all sorts of passengers, thousands and thousands of passengers, and they were getting thousands and thousands of new passengers as they were going to turn around for a new cruise. So this is really what the whole thing looked like from the Ocean View Cafe. And there's another picture looking back at the city of Miami. It was very crowded. In fact, we left about 3 hours before we were supposed to check in. We ended up getting to the tunnel portion. You can go over by bridge or tunnel, and our Uber driver took us through the tunnel where it was back-to-back, just bumper to bumper the whole way through. It took us about an hour to get from the tunnel to our terminal, which was Terminal E, which is usually a Carnival terminal, but There were two Royal Caribbean ships in that day, and the terminal that Celebrity usually uses, which is Terminal G, was undergoing renovation. So they were borrowing a Carnival terminal for this. But anyway, took us about an hour of bumper-to-bumper traffic to get to the terminal. We ended up walking the last 100 yards or so. Very crowded, not well managed at all by anybody at the Port of Miami. Not a good place to leave from for a cruise. Of course, what I really like about Celebrity is when you first get on board, you've got carry-on items, right? Maybe it's a backpack, maybe it's carry-on luggage, something that you've got. Celebrity is one of the very few cruise lines that allows you to go directly to your cabin and drop off your bags. So you're not schlepping your bags all over the cruise ship, taking them up to the Ocean View Cafe, the buffet, or walking around the ship and exploring, and you're dragging a suitcase around with. None of that. You get to take your bag to your cabin. Then you go and complete your muster, which is basically scanning your phone, and then you go and you have lunch, and this was our lunch. You can see Cathy, she always gets a salad, always gets fruit, and of course Rich, on a diet right now, but I had meatballs and I had a little bit of other stuff as well. Probably wasn't the greatest. I gained 3 pounds on the cruise. Not bad, but when you're supposed to lose, I know. It just hit me as we're looking at Cathy standing outside the Cosmopolitan, which is one of the places that we ate at. There are 4 restaurants on board the Edge-class ships. There's the Cosmopolitan, the Cypress, the Tuscan, and the Normandy. And they're all different, a little bit different. There's decorated a little differently. But the Cosmopolitan is more like a New York restaurant. Tuscan is Italian. Normandy is French. And the Cypress is Mediterranean. Anyway, so Cathy's standing outside, and it hit me as I was going through this. This was not typically what I would be showing you right now. Typically, I'd be showing you our cabin, but I just remembered I never took a photo of our cabin. It was a smaller cabin, probably about 2/3 the size of a normal interior cabin, and we like interior cabins. Don't like the sun coming in the middle of the afternoon when you want to take a nap, and we do sleep very well on our cruise. This is Cathy eating dinner. This was in the Normandy restaurant, and they had an excellent fare. The food on Celebrity is, bar none, some of the best food you'll find at sea. I highly recommend it. Anyway, this is Cathy having dinner at Normandy, and we had excellent wait staff, excellent bar staff. Everybody was doing their job exceptionally well. Here we are the next day. Now, we did go and see a comedian that first night who was very funny. In fact, he threw out his entire routine and just did audience work, crowd work, and he was fabulous. He really was. He had a thing where he would tell people, hey, if somebody comes in late, everybody stand up and applaud, and we'll make them feel really bad for coming in late. And it happened probably 3-4 times. It was great. It was funny. He was a very good comedian. Anyway, this is Cathy in the club. The club is one of the places where you go for trivia, and this was her sticking out her tongue. I do have another picture of her sticking out her tongue when she was in school. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick here. Yeah, there she is. That's Cathy. If you look at the top left, that's her with her tongue sticking out. And then she's the one on the right side. She's got the blouse and the glasses and the hat. And then on the bottom left, she's with her friend Doris. And then in the bottom right, she's in the back, and Doris is in the front. But anyway, yeah, see, she did stick out her tongue in that one as well. That was when she was probably 18 or 19 years old, a little while ago. Anyway, diverting from that, here's another picture of the club. It has a rather large floor area. They can put tables up. They can do things like that. They have games that they play. Well, they'll do curling. They'll do putt-putt golf or golf chipping and things like that. There is a bar. You're looking at the bar in the background there, then the yellow light. And there are windows looking out at the sea. It gets full for a lot of the activities that they have here. In fact, they can have dances in the bar as we look at that. They did have, and there you see the club. There's another shot of the dance floor. from our seat, which was down low. We did meet some interesting people on this cruise. The guy in the red shirt is Davy. He's a doctor. His mother is to the left of him, and they are from China, but they live in Vancouver now. And then that's Diane to the left of Rosa. Rosa is the mother. Diane and Andy. And Diane and Andy are from Pompano Beach, Florida. Had a great time. They work for AT&T in their working days, and they are, as we are, retired right now. We had a super time. These guys were tremendous at trivia. In fact, we ended up getting one more person, and there she is. That is Nicole. Nicole actually works for Silversea, which is the luxury cruise line that Royal Caribbean has, and they were giving her a chance to see what all the other cruise lines were doing. So she was on our ship. She was staying in the crew quarters, but she was able to basically take a vacation and see how Celebrity ran. When she got done with this cruise, she was going on yet another cruise on Royal Caribbean. And then she would go back to working full-time on Silversea. Anyway, the seven of us, and teams were supposed to be of six, so we always had one person sitting out, but the seven of us took part in 19 different trivia contests throughout the week. We won 15 of the 19. I've never had it happen like that before, but I'll tell you, Nicole is fabulous, and Davy was fabulous as well. We had a great time with them. And this is a picture of what it looks like when we are in the middle of trivia. Now, this was not a well-attended trivia. You can see that there are still some seats open, but there were people sitting across the thing. That's Elise, the moderator that is giving us the questions. This was a particular thing on movie posters. I'm not sure if we won this one or not. I don't think we won this one. We came pretty close, but we always were, competitive, but I don't think we won this one. Elise is from Australia. Great lady. I had a chance to meet with her. She's from the Gold Coast of Australia, and she was in her final contract, and then she's going to go back to Australia and work in social work. And Elise, we hope you have a happy career. You're going to see several pictures like this. This was taken from the thermal suite. The thermal suite is located right at the front of the ship in the spa, and that's one of the things Cathy likes. We don't do a lot of shore excursions, but we love to do the thermal suite. Cathy loves to go into the steam rooms. There's several, and you're going to see a lot of what they are here. I love to lay on. They have heated benches, kind of like stone benches, tiled benches, and you'll see those here in a minute. But this is one of the things that you looked at as you looked out the front of the ship. That is a duck sitting on an egg. And this is looking out at our first port of call, which was Tortola. And you're going to see a little bit of Tortola coming up as well. But that is Tortola from the thermal suite. And here's Cathy sitting up and stretching. Those are the stone benches, the tiled benches that I was talking about. Those are all heated. There were 13 benches on there. This was taken at night, and we went up probably after dinner most nights. And I got to lay on the bench, and Cathy would do her routine, going into the various steam rooms and then showers and that type of thing. I'll take you through that in a minute. But there were 13 benches. During the day, it got busy. At night, nobody was there. It was really pretty cool. And there's another look at benches going the other way. There were a ton of stone benches that were there, and it was really kind of cool. We had a good time with that. I do want to show you, this is outside of the benches area. When you first walk in, they try to make it so peaceful and relaxing. They really, really did. And that is exactly another reason why it was so cool. Celebrity does a great job with that. This is the Hammond steam room. This is the not quite so hot steam. And then to the left of that, you see mist. That is a very hot steam. Okay. And then, of course, this is out in the towel area. They have towels out there for everybody. And you can see the benches, heated benches off to the left. Little artwork there sitting in the center. This is the inhale room. Now, this is they had a couple of these. One is a salt room, and this one is not salt, but this is more of a crystal room that's supposed to give you a special feeling and whatnot when you go in there. It's not that hot at all, but it is some place you can go in and just sit and inhale. This is a shower. If you see at the very top, those little plates up there, the red lights on top mean it's a hot shower. The blue mean it's a cold shower. And you would walk through, and as you walk through, you hit the buttons on the side, and you'd either get hot shower or cold shower and wash the toxins off of your body. There you see the Hammond and the Mist room again, as it was. This is the crystallarium. This is the crystal steam room, if you will. There's not really any steam in there. And this is the salt room that they had in there as well. So they had several, and they had a dry heat as well in there. It was like walking into a Norwegian sauna. I'm sure you've heard of the goose that laid the golden egg. There it is, with an egg on its head. That's the goose, and that's the golden egg. There are quite a bit of those things out there. In fact, here's 3 ducks. They're sitting on an egg as well. The cruise we were on was basically a spring break cruise. That's why Miami was such a crazy mess. They had a music festival going on the Saturday and Sunday we got back. And it was the Saturday and Sunday before Easter, so it was the week before Easter. And then this was back in the club. They had dot painting, and this were the mandala styles of dot painting, and they had different things that the folks could do. As you'll see here in the next picture, there you go, a lot of kids on this particular cruise. Now, Celebrity is not known to have a lot of kids, but they had a lot of kids on this one, and they were very well behaved. Normally, I don't like going on cruises with tons of kids, which is one reason why we don't go on Royal Caribbean all that much anymore. But on this one, they were very well behaved and not a lot of running in the hallway and that type of stuff. Well, there was some of it, but not bad. But here they were doing an art project. Every cruise ship, and I don't care what cruise ship line you're on, from Carnival all the way up to the top of the top, they all have a center point, a place where is the gathering spot. If you're going to have something big inside, it's going to happen here. Well, on Celebrity Edge class ships, it is the Martini Bar. The Martini Bar on Celebrity has been known for years, even before the Edge class came out, as the place to go for fun. And on some of the older ships, the bar itself was actually ice, and they kept it cold all the time. Here is the Martini Bar on deck 3, and there is where the band sets up. You can see that right there. This is looking back at the Martini Bar. At the very top, it says Celebrity Beyond. I don't think you can read it, but that's what it says up top. And there's a huge chandelier up there that's lit, and it's just a nice thing. They can probably sit 40 or 50 people around that bar, another 40 or 50 people on each side of the bar. And then they have a 4th and 5th deck that look down on the Martini Bar. And you can see that here as well. Cathy, of course, likes to be on her phone a lot. We were waiting for trivia that was going to be held in the Grand Plaza, is what they call it. And so we were sitting there waiting for trivia and our team to show up. So that was what we were doing that day. And I'm not sure if we won that one or not. There was one time we did and one time we didn't, with like 45 different teams of 6. And we ended up winning one, and one we failed miserably at. One of the neater things in the Edge class ships is that they have a place after the ship, the back of the ship, called Eden. It's on deck 5. And to get to Eden, you can walk through this. It's kind of a maze. There's artwork inside, and this one has stones and spheres and things like that and weird lighting. And that's Cathy walking through it. I'm behind her. But it's mirrored on both sides, and it's a weird experience to get back to Eden. And that's where Cathy is on this particular view. We were going back that night to eat at, there she is. We had one specialty dinner, a specialty restaurant. Eden Restaurant is fabulous. If you ever go on an Edge class ship, make sure you eat at Eden. And if you go on the Excel, that Celebrity Excel, I think it's called Bazaar. All right, but it's still the Eden restaurant. Excellent food. Best meal I've had all day. And you want to know the view? Well, there's the view. That's not us. That's the couple we were sitting next to, but that's sunset as we were getting ready to have our dinner at Eden. Now, Eden is actually 3 decks, all right? This was at the bottom of deck. This is deck 4. This is deck 5. And plenty of seating. There's a piano that you see back there, a microphone stand, whatnot. They do musical acts. In fact, if you look up right toward the middle in that, they would do people doing acrobatics in that. It looked like a chandelier with things draping down from it. We watched them rehearse one night with that. They do have a bar. It's off to the left. You see the lady sitting there at the bar, and just a very, very nice thing to do. And here's Cathy again on her phone, and you see the bar back there as well. This was our place that we went every night for our before dinner drink. Celebrity does things a little differently than Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean will give you, when you're a Diamond member, they will give you 4 free drinks a day. Shows up on your CPass card. And all you just say is, here, put this on my CPass card. It's I want my free drink. And they'll give it to you. You can have Fufu coffee, or you can have Coca-Cola, or whatever you want. And here on Celebrity, they don't do that. They have a happy hour for elites and above, and that's from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Well, we eat at 5:15. So typically what we do is we get there and tell them, at 5 o'clock, deliver our drink. And then just before we leave at 5:15, 5:30, we want to have you bring us another drink, and we take that down to dinner with us. There's another picture of Cathy, and there you can see, if you look to the right about midway up, you see those chairs there. That is on deck 6. And that is, you can go up there and watch off the aft of the ship and watch the wake and whatnot. But there's a bar there, and plenty of unique seating that goes on. And of course, we have a drink. Cathy went with gin and tonic, and I went with a Manhattan, and we each got a bottle of water, and that's what we would do most nights of the cruise. We had 3 ports of call on this cruise in a week. We had 2 sea days. Then we had 3 ports of call. We went to Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. We went to San Juan, Puerto Rico, which Cathy and I have been to probably a dozen times. And we went to Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, which we've been to. This would be our 3rd trip to the DR. And 2nd trip on a cruise ship. This is a picture of us coming into Tortola. And there are a lot of islands surrounding Tortola. This is one of them. But as you look more at the island we were coming into, a mountainous area, a lot of houses on the mountain. Cathy and I kind of look at it and said, I still don't want to live here with all the hurricanes that are out there. Another view here of houses near the mountains, right on the sea. As you get off the ship in Tortola, it's a smaller island, smaller port, and not a lot of folks actually go to Tortola, but this is where you get off, and then you go in through that building there that you see, and their Pier Park, I think is what that sign says, and there's Cathy walking up that way as we are looking for, you guessed it, refrigerator magnets, and she ended up, yes, she did. She got a refrigerator magnet. She's turning around here saying, "Where are you? Come on, let's go. Let's go. I've got to get a refrigerator magnet." We don't take many selfies on these cruises, but this is one we did take as we went through that building. On the other side, there was a nice street there. The street goes down quite a ways. It's probably 2 blocks long. And then you would leave the pier area. This is all basically just for cruise passengers to go through. And these are the different shops on each side of the street. But there's Rich and Cathy. I forgot my sunglasses. I'm not used to wearing sunglasses. I was always used to wearing eyeglasses. But since the surgery, that's changed. Here's a shot of the Celebrity Beyond and the building that we walked through, the first building that we walked through. They had shops and stuff in there, but they had, like I said, 2 blocks worth of stuff. And this was just a big open area that you could walk out in. In fact, if you want to go a little closer, hey, we can do that. There's the Celebrity Beyond with some of the shops and whatnot in the foreground. For some reason, and I know the reason, we did not take any pictures when we went to San Juan, Puerto Rico. First of all, because we've been there so many different times, I could probably bring back pictures from other cruises that we've been at, but what the heck. It was raining that day, and all Cathy wanted to do was get her refrigerator magnet. The last time we were in San Juan, Puerto Rico, we had our luggage stolen. Remember that video? It was also the last time we left out of Miami. And so she lost her refrigerator magnet from San Juan. That's all she wanted to do. Get off, get the refrigerator magnet, get back on the ship. And of course, what happened? She left the refrigerator magnet in the cabin. So we still are missing that. Anyway, this is Taino Bay. This is in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, and this is their big sign that they have there, and different people walking up and getting their pictures taken with it. Did not do a whole lot there. Got the refrigerator magnet again. Went back to the ship. It was quite a hefty walk to get back to the ship, long pier. And, we've been there before and spent a weekend there, and it was a very nice area. I mean, Puerto Plata is a nice place to go. It's on the north side of the Dominican Republic. You're right there on the ocean side, and you have a lot of beautiful beaches and whatnot. I'd recommend if you want to take some time off, there's a whole area just west of Taino Bay that is a resort area. Go online, research it, and go, because it's a really neat place. And I have to laugh. I'm sitting here looking at these pictures, and I'm thinking to myself, this could be Tortola. This could be this could be anything. It is a little different when you are on the ship and you go to all these different ports. They do have a tendency to look a lot alike. So that's Puerto Plata from the area, and there's right at the beginning of the bay that we were in, and the ocean off to the right. Now, the reason I took this was because it was lobster night. And, of course, Cathy, not a big fan of lobster, so she orders surf and turf. She gets a lobster tail and gives that to me. So I have 2 lobster tails. And then she has the meat that you see there on her plate on the left side of the plate, as we're looking at it, is basically a beef Wellington. And so she had beef Wellington, and she had the mashed potatoes and some veggies there as well. And I also did as well. Here's my plate here. There you go. Carrot, and then you can see the 2 lobster tails, the potato right there in the middle, and then the beef Wellington off to the right. I love beef Wellington. It really is good. Thank you, Gordon Ramsay, for making it popular. And, it really is good. And they do a nice job on Celebrity. Whatever you do, make sure you go on their second dress-up night, which is usually day 6, I think. That's the day you want to dress up and go get your lobster. But they charge you $17 for a lobster tail if you want more than one. So have your wife or your husband or somebody that doesn't like lobster order the lobster and give it to you. On the final lunch buffet up in the Ocean View Cafe, the 7th day, the last day of the cruise, they do what they call the extravaganza buffet. This is where they pull out all the stops. There's shellfish. There's shrimp galore. There's all sorts of great seafood, and it is, without a doubt, the best buffet you will ever see on a cruise ship. I guarantee it. And this was what was left of my plate after I finished with the shellfish and the shrimp that I had on my plate. But do yourself a favor. If you ever go on a Celebrity cruise ship, especially the Edge class ships, realize that on the final sea day, and they're always a sea day, the last day, make sure you go up and have lunch in the buffet, because it is really, really worth it. And here's Cathy. The funny thing is that she would get a Coke, which they were charging like $4.50 for if you just wanted to buy a can of Coke, and she would get that during happy hour the night before, and then she would stick that in our refrigerator in our cabin, and then take it to lunch. So she had Coke for lunch, or Coke Zero, and there she is. And she's had a lot of shrimp with that as well. But that is also at the extravaganza buffet. So that's the way to do it. If you are an elite member, get the Coke for free, right? And there you have it. 7 days on the Celebrity Beyond. It was a great time. We had a good time. Our flight was delayed a little bit coming back, but we were able to catch our flight in Houston and came through Houston on the way back and still made it back in plenty of time, so everything worked out well. Not a fan of Miami, I'll tell you that. Not a fan of either the hotels or the port. Not a fan of the traffic in Miami, but our next cruise is coming up this December. This will be for our 48th anniversary cruise, and it's going to be on the Celebrity Ascent. Now, we did the Ascent one other time. We did that in 2024 when we did a Mediterranean cruise, and the video is on YouTube there. And we also did a back-to-back where we did the Mediterranean cruise through the Greek Isles and Italy and Turkey. And then we stayed on the ship in Barcelona and did a transatlantic crossing. That was a lot of fun. We are staying on that the upcoming cruise in the cabin right next door to the one we stayed at in 2024, which was kind of neat. So anyway, we'll be back with that one coming up in December. Give me a couple weeks to get that video all edited down and everything, but we will certainly do that. Thanks for listening, and we will see you sometime in December.